It's Monday. You sit down to resume your project work. One terminal for Docker Compose, one for running the API, one for each front end. That's almost four terminals open even before you have written a single line of code. And that's just to run it. Now we want to actually look inside. So you open PG admin for the database, another tab for cache, another for file storage, more tabs, more logins every single time. And two of them are already throwing errors. You don't even know which one is it, and you start scrolling the logs. That was my morning, every morning for multiple years. Then I changed one thing. Now I run a single command, and in seconds, the whole stack is up and running. Same project, same services, one command instead of four terminals. So what changed? For a long time, Docker Compose was just fine. Then it started giving me headaches. Let me show you why. Here's the thing, Docker Compose isn't bad. Two containers, it is good. A database and an API project, perfect, use it. But as the project grows, you add a cache, you add a second front end, then a job to run migrations, and one more job to see the data, and so much more like that. Now it's a pile of moving parts, all held together by a single large YAML file, and keeping that file working slowly turns into a job of its own. And honestly, I don't want to spend my day on this. I have got business logics to write, features to ship, real problems to solve. Babysitting a YAML file isn't one of them. And that file doesn't know anything about my code. It doesn't know if my API is .NET. It can't tell me if a request was slow. It can't show me any of the traces across all my services. It just starts the containers and hopes for the best. And here's the part that actually made me tired. Connection strings, that too everywhere. The API needs a database connection string, the migration jobs need the same one, the front end needs the API's address, everything needs the cache. So you copy it into Compose, then app settings, then the .env file, then the front end config. The same value sitting in 5 or more different places. And when I change one port or any other minor changes, I will have to go and fix everywhere. And if I miss one, a new developer loses their first morning to set up error that was never their fault. That's not a code problem, that is a setup problem. And almost all of us are tired of solving it in every project. There is a better way to run all of this. It's called Aspire. The idea is very simple. Instead of a YAML file that describes containers, you write a small C# project that describes your whole system. Your API, your database, your cache, your jobs, front end, all of it in code you already know how to read and write. So how does this actually work? Three pieces. First, you describe your whole system into one C# file, that's the AppHost. Second, when you run it, Aspire starts everything for you. Your own projects run directly, things like Postgres and Redis comes up as containers through Docker. And third, it wires them all together and opens a single dashboard with every service, its logs, traces and metrics already on it. So you hit F5 and the whole stack comes up in the right order. In one screen, no YAML files and no scripts. And the surprise, this isn't only a .NET thing. The same C# file can run your React apps, a Node script, even a Python or Go service. If it runs on your machine, Aspire can surely run it. Let me show you what exactly I replaced. This is FullStackHero, my open source .NET 10 starter kit, a real project used by hundreds of developers. In this, I have a .NET 10 Web API, two React apps, PostgreSQL, Redis for caching, and two database jobs that runs on startup. There are 7 different things, and in one command, everything runs as expected every single time. Let's get into it. Getting Aspire into a project you already have takes about 30 seconds or so. So I'll be quick. In Visual Studio, right-click your project and add Aspire Orchestrator Support. Done. If you want to do that from terminal, it's just 2 lines. You need to install Aspire and do an Aspire init. Note that you will have to set the AppHost as your startup project. Otherwise, F1 runs just your API instead of the whole stack. That's the setup. Now the part that actually matters, the AppHost itself. The AppHost is created in a normal C# console app and it describes your whole system in code as I mentioned earlier. Let's first see a simple one. Read it from top to bottom. A Postgres database, an API that references it, and a web frontend that references to the API. With reference is how one thing finds the other. The API references Postgres, so Aspire generates the connection string and hands it in. The web app references the API, so it gets the API's address. Wait for is the ordering. The API waits for the Postgres to be healthy, the web application waits for the API, and with HTTP health check is how Aspire knows each one is actually healthy, not just started. So that's the whole model. Add a resource, reference what it needs, wait for what it depends on. There will be no ports, no connection strings, no YAML files, and no copy paste. One quick thing, each resource comes from its own NuGet packages. Add Postgres needs the Postgres package, add Redis needs the Redis one, and so on. So before I scale this up, let me run this tiny version because the second you run an app host, you get something Compose never gave you. A dashboard. It opens by itself. This one screen is the reason I stopped missing my terminals. Here's everything I just wrote. Live, Postgres, the API, the web application, one row each, turning green as it gets healthy. No more guessing if the database is up. Green means go, red means click it and check the logs. Now, click any resource and you get its details, the real URL it's running on, its state, and then this part which I really want you to see. These are the environment variables Aspire handed that service. Look at this one, the connection string to Postgres database sitting right there. I never typed it, Aspire created it and passed it on for me. Remember all the copy paste from earlier? This is where it went. Aspire does it and shows you exactly what it did. There's live logs for every service in here too and even traces. We'll go through this in a later section. So that's the dashboard. One screen, every service, every URL, every value Aspire has tied up in the environment variables. Hold on to that picture because my real setup does the exact same thing but with way more services instead of just the three. Now, this is the app host from FullStackHero. Same moves, just more of them. In the simpler version, I added Postgres in 2 or 3 lines. In my real setup, it's still one resource. I'm just asking for few more things. It's still very easy to understand. Add Postgres, give it a data volume so that my data survives a restart, keep the controllers alive between runs so that it's not cold every time I hit F5, and add pgadmin so that I get a database browser for free. Then add a database on it called FSHDB. I never picked a Postgres version, I never picked a port, never wrote a connection string. Aspire pulls the right container and wires all of that for me. Compare that to Compose, where I would have to be handwriting the image tag, the port, the volume, health check logic, and a whole separate pgadmin block on top. Here it is in 4 lines, and I didn't look up a single version number. Next, let's see the jobs. In FullStackHero, the database has to be migrated before the API starts, and for demos, it has to be seeded with sample tenant and some sample data too. So I have 2 jobs. They're basically the same console project, but they run twice with 2 different arguments. One applies the migrations and one takes care of the seeding part. The interesting part is the lifecycle. These aren't services that stay up. They run, do their work and exit. So this is job 1. Add project points at a real console project. Wait for Postgres means it won't even start until the database is actually ready to start taking up queries. And the arguments apply seed tells it what to do. Now let's see the second job. Look at this particular line, wait for completion of the migrator. This is the one I want you to remember. There are 2 kinds of waiting. Wait for means wait until that thing is healthy and running. That's for your database, your cache, things that stay up. Wait for completion means wait until that thing finishes and exits successfully. That's for a job. The seeder won't run until migrations are fully done. And here's where it pays off. The API waits for the Postgres and Redis to be healthy, and it waits for both the jobs to finish first. So the API never even starts against an unmigrated database. You must be very familiar with the exception that says the table doesn't exist and your startup crashes. That issue is completely gone. Not just handled, it's completely gone. In Compose, depends on can start things in order. It cannot say run this job to completion, then start my API. This order is the thing I always ended up scripting by hand, and here it is in 3 lines, very simple, made by Aspire. Real quick, if you're getting real value out of this video, do me a favor and hit subscribe. I break down real .NET like this every week, and your engagement can genuinely help this channel grow. Okay, back to it. Do you remember that connection string that we copied into 5 different files? Here's it written 0 times. My API reads its connection string from its own configuration key, so I just map Aspire's connection string into it. So there will be no host, no port, no password typed anywhere. Postgres owns the connection string and Aspire makes sure it flows into the API, the migrator and the seeder from one place. So when a new developer clones this and hits F5, there is literally no setup documentation for him to follow. He doesn't need to ask someone for the env file. It just runs. That alone is why I switched. Now the surprise, Aspire runs my React apps too. FullStackHero has 2 React frontends, an admin console and a tenant dashboard. Both start from the same app host. So if you see this code in AppHost, add JavaScript app points to the client folder directly. With npm runs my normal dev script. With reference and wait for works just like everything else, so the frontend gets the API's address and waits for it to be up. The React app shows up as one more resource, same dashboard, same logs. Those 4 terminals from Monday, that's completely gone. I also have a second frontend, which is the same exact block, but it runs on a different port. And here's the part that surprised me. This isn't just a React thing, it isn't even a .NET thing. Aspire can run Node, Python, Go, and even a plain script. If it runs on a machine, Aspire can orchestrate it. The AppHost is just how you describe the system, it doesn't lock you onto any language. Alright, enough code. Let me actually run it because this next part is the whole reason I switched. You saw the dashboard on the tiny version. Now watch it run the whole thing. One command, .NET run on AppHost or just F5. You can see the same dashboard up, but now with 14 more resources. Postgres, Redis, the API, both React apps, and the two jobs, and so much more. Each one turning green as it gets healthy, and this time, watch the order. Postgres comes up first, the migrator runs and exists, then comes the seeder, it runs and exists, making sure the seeding is completed, then the API starts, then the two front ends. That's wait for completion doing their job live in front of you. So no more guessing which container failed. If something is red, you just click it here and read the logs. So both front ends have a real clickable URL. Click it, the app opens and it's already talking to the API. You didn't configure a single thing here. And the logs, every service, the API, both jobs, the front ends, one searchable place, filter to one service, search for an error, done. You have a complete observability map here. This is exactly the thing I was scrolling earlier with Docker Compose and through 5 separate terminals to just debug my issues. And because Aspire voice up OpenTelemetry, a single request shows up as one trace. You watch it hit the API, run a query, check the cache, all on a single timeline with the timing of each step. That's also how you can catch a slow query without attaching a profiler. That's the difference. Docker Compose started my containers. Aspire actually shows me my entire system and how everything works. So here is where I landed. I write my system once in C# in the AppHost. I hit F5. The whole thing comes up in order wired together with logs, traces and metrics already on. No connection string copied into 5 different files. No which container died. No 4-hour onboarding. The compose file made my machine someone else's problem to figure out. Aspire made it boring, and boring is exactly what any developer looks for. This entire Aspire walkthrough is on the blog, and this exact setup is in FullStackHero on GitHub. Both links are in the description below, so clone it, hit F5, watch multiple things come up at once, and then go poke at the dashboard yourself. One final thing, and this is for anyone who wants to go deeper. Aspire orchestrates the API, but the API itself is where the real work lives. If you want to build production-grade .NET Web APIs from scratch with clean structure, EF core, authentication, authorization, caching, and much more, I have a full course on it. It's called the .NET Web API 0 to Hero, and it's completely free. Hundreds of developers are already going through it. The link is right below. Go join, work through it at your own pace, and build the kind of APIs that's actually worth orchestrating with Aspire. Happy coding, and see you in the next video.